Yeah,
You all right, Jim?
DAZN TV channel. I'm just trying to get this through my head. Where can we find it? A lot of people say to me, right, DAZN, where can I get it? Do I get it in this country? Is it easy to find? Is it instantly accessible?
So easy to find. But we also understand the world we live in, where a certain demographic of viewers would like to digest content in different ways. The new age of broadcasting is unquestionably streaming, but there is still a large proportion of the market who like to watch it in a traditional manner. And I think when DAZN launched in this country, it wasn't with a view to have its own channel on Sky, but I think as it's evolved, and I think as well to counter the sort of propaganda and argument of, oh, you can't find this platform.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but obviously...
because some boxers have left DAZN because they don't want to be on it, because people tell them they can't find it.
No, fighters have left DAZN and us because we haven't been willing to pay the numbers that other people are who have no understanding of commercial reality.
Why did Josh Boazzi leave you?
Because he was talked to by certain individuals that were willing to pay him a large amount of money to fight on a platform that he's fought on his whole career, by the way. It wasn't like he's never been there before.
But he said that no one watched his fight against Craig Richards.
He has absolutely no one. He's never been provided with, and he's never been given any viewing figures at all. The reality is there are more eyeballs, bigger viewing numbers globally on Matchroom events than any other promoter in the world. DAZN's viewing figures are less than Sky, of course. DAZN also provides substantial viewing figures in all the key markets, including America, which Joshua Buatsi doesn't have a TV deal with a platform in America, or nor does that promotional company for his fights. And ultimately, we're in a market at the moment, boxing has aggressive investors that are willing to pay inflated purses for fighters. And as a business, we have to look at those numbers and decide if we
haven't you changed your tune now around fighters? Because it wasn't so long ago that you were running around telling everybody you don't need contracts and that you do deals on a shake of a hand and a handshake.
Depends on the individual.
Right, and then, well, of course it would do for the purpose of this argument.
No,
and then when Josh Buatsi leaves, because he doesn't want to stay with you for 3 years after fighting Bivol, you get the ump with there.
Again, like...
Not 3 years in.
No, 3 fights.
Okay, well, what we know is...
I'll tell you what, let's just go to that
Franklin's on
because
DAZN.
I think that we're very similar in many ways, me and you. Some ways. But from a business sense...
I'll let you have that.
Let me put this to you.
Go ahead.
Joshua Buatsi, from the professional debut, is a matchroom fighter. Invested in him his whole career, right? And it's a significant investment across purses.
Are you ahead yet?
Are you going to let... No, absolutely.
No,
miles behind. Miles behind on Joshua Buatsi. Miles behind. See, the ticket sales for the Craig Richards fight was a good example. And I've seen the viewing figures versus other fighters. That's why we have to make commercial decisions. Going back to that, we get him a British title fight. He gets a European title fight. Right? We box him at Madison Square Garden. We get him to #1 in the world somehow, because that's our job. And we walk him in to a £1.25 million fight with Dmitry Bivol for the world title.
Which he acknowledges.
In neutral territory.
Which he acknowledges.
Okay. Now, his contract's up. #1, Dmitry Bivol has to have a rematch clause, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to extend that contract anyway.
Fair enough.
We ask for a 3-fight extension if he was to go on and win the world title for a huge amount of money, probably walk into the Canelo Alvarez fight for $7 million like Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders did. That's complete industry standard. You've made a huge investment.
And you've got matching rights and all that goes with it.
Yeah,
I understand
anyway, that's the situation there. The reality is his team didn't want the Dmitry Bivol fight, which is no problem. But after that investment and getting to that position, we don't want another fight against a nobody where we're going to bleed money. We've given him the education. We've given him the platform. We've boxed him all around the world. Now's your chance to become world champion.
When you moved from I mean, I actually agree with you on the DAZN thing, because I think VOD, if people can subscribe to Netflix, they can subscribe to DAZN. I actually don't think DAZN is a particularly good platform. Some of the content I've watched it hasn't been very good, and it surprises me that you've got to put the price up to $19.99 and whatever else.
Only if you,
that's a commercial reason.
Only if you don't
pay 99 quid up front. Right?
Or $9.99 a month.
All right, okay. But the point for me is did any of these fighters, because they'll go with you, because I've always been a major advocate. I know how you pay your fighters. I know what you do and when you do it. Not what you pay them, but I know that you're straight down the line. No one mucks about you. They get paid on Monday morning after their fights. And I've always said that about you, both to you and about you.
Is that a compliment?
No, it's absolutely a compliment, because in this game, a lot of them don't, right? And he's always done that. But that doesn't alter the fact that when these guys came with you, say a Coley or Buatsi that were with you, and they moved to DAZN, they've all come away from it, or certainly in those two instances, with a great feeling that this might be all right for Matchroom, but it hasn't been particularly good for us. And then you're quite rather than accept the fact that sometimes you speculate to accumulate, and sometimes you accept the fact that you run the risk of investing in fighters, you don't make it every single time. You seem to be quite acerbic and facetious and vitriolic about people that choose not to take up your particular conditionality. I understand the fact if you want to make him a fight again, if it's a rematch clause against Bivol, I understand that. But if you want to stick him on a free fight deal after that, why should he need to?
No, he doesn't have to. He has the option to.
After that, what you've done is becoming quite bitter and facetious about it.
I mean, every day, but mostly around fights, I do 50 or 60 interviews a day with outlets. I get asked various questions. Sometimes my responses aren't perfect. Sometimes I speak from the heart, which I will always do, and I'll speak honestly, in my opinion. Right, whether you think I'm factually incorrect, like I do you on something.
Whether I think you're a snake oil salesman.
No. Well, I think that's a bit harsh. There's a lot I can say about you personally, but you know.
But you have. You've said things about me personally.
Not really.
You said I'm the king of hypocrisy. With no basis for that.
You are the king of hypocrisy, but you talk like you're some kind of business expert. We know how that went for you.
No. In order to lose a lot of money, you have to make it in the first place. And if you're telling me to make 100 million quid,
it's a marathon, not a sprint,
make 100 million quid, mate, to make 100 million quid out one business in 5 years. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You went bankrupt.
No, I didn't.
What? Crystal Palace Football Club.
Don't be stupid.
Crystal Palace Football Club.
Don't be stupid, Eddie. I didn't go bankrupt at all.
Crystal Palace Football Club.
And don't say silly things that can get you into trouble, because I didn't go bankrupt in the slightest.
In that case, I apologise. What I did was,
like everybody else that has challenges in life. No. What I did was, as the biggest creditor, because of the biggest banking crisis in the world, I took a view that I could no longer fund it anymore, put it into administration and wrote off 50 million quid on the basis of the fact that I made 100 million quid. So get your facts right,
I apologise. You took the club into administration.
No, I didn't take it into administration. A secured creditor put it in there, and I had to take my medicine, which I've never complained about. And I've never bitched and whined about it. I've never gone about the fighters that ran off with me and I invested in them and started crying about it.
Well, you cried about many things. No, I haven't. But also,
never cried about anything.
But you sit there and you don't acknowledge any side of business. What I'm saying to you, because you don't acknowledge the situation. Lawrence Okoli, another situation. Okay, you have to make a call. Go back to the Crystal Palace days, right? And I'll say this to you: a player, right, gets an offer for, is out of contract or his contract's approaching. We've been there with Leighton Orient.
But I understand what
We've been there with Leighton Orient, and all of a sudden you have an option to pay a certain amount of money or to let the fighter go. You have to make a commercial decision based on the ability of that player or the fighter, the draw, the numbers, everything around it.
But the point I was making, there's no implied criticism of that observation, right? Because the guy, you pay your money, he takes your choice, right? And so does the fighter. But the reaction from the fighters about being on DAZN is not a particularly complimentary one.
I disagree.
And it would seem that they had no choice, and I suspect that's probably the reality of their world that they live in, which is when you pitched up sticks and decided that Sky was no longer for you and a better opportunity for Matchroom and your $1 billion pursuit, which, by the way, chapeau, well done for you. If you can get 60 million from Matchroom Boxing and make £12 million a year, fantastic. Nice business. I know, it's just boxing. I know. I looked at the numbers the other day. Well done, you. 20% net on net. Very good. But the point is this, is that they look at it and they don't fancy it. And they don't fancy the dynamic of what you've created for them. And to some extent, I understand the reasons why.
Yeah, but you're talking about a couple of isolated incidents who get people in their ear. The others that might say, it's been unbelievable for me. I've boxed in America. I've boxed globally. I've boxed on the Canelo Alvarez.
Such as whom would say that?
Well, I think Yafai. I mean, Boatsi's one of them. Katie Taylor.
Well, Boatsi doesn't say it, does he? Boatsi's gone. So
but
Boatsi's not a good example, is he?
Yeah, no, I said, you asked me who boxed internationally on those cards.
No, I asked you who would say something positive about it.
I think anybody that's taken that opportunity.
I'll be interested to see how positive you are, Eddie, about AJ fighting Jermaine Franklin. That's coming up next, April the 1st. AJ against Jermaine Franklin. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Fury Usyk in the final part.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.